Starmer's announcement yesterday of the sweeping migration restrictions, including the abolition of the social care visa route, the increased English language requirements, and a 10-year wait for settlement, is being billed as the government's answer to spiralling migration. But to many, this isn't an answer at all. It's a reaction, a poorly disguised attempt to preempt Reform UK's tidal rise by donning their rhetoric and nodding ominously to the ghosts of Enoch Powerlism. So net migration reached 906,000 in 2023, an eye-watering figure. But the vast majority came legally through skilled work, study and humanitarian schemes. Yet Starmer's framing that without tougher rules the UK risks becoming an island of strangers has been met with fury, not just for its policy implications, but for its language redolent of Enoch Powell's darkest imagery and stoked by Reform UK's fear-mongering. From the right, the response has been predictably scornful. Reform UK dismisses the reforms as cosmetic, a theatrical gesture from a man who only recently was heralding open borders under Jeremy Corbyn. The Conservatives, still nursing the wounds of their own immigration betrayals, are privately jubilant. Starmer now owns the mess. But it is from the left that the knives are sharper. MPs such as Clive Lewis and Sarah Owen has accused the Prime Minister of moral cowardice and linguistic pandering. Amnesty International warns of policies rooted not in legality or compassion but in optics, and the student visa restrictions, the tightening of settlement rights and the punishing of the care sector, all this, they argue, is the politics of capitulation dressed as pragmatism. And what are the practical consequences? In the care sector, where there are over 131,000 vacancies, Starmer's move has been described by Professor Martin Green of Care England as a crushing blow. High skill, low pay work, he says, has been sacrificed on the altar of headline politics. Jane Grattan from the British Chambers of Commerce has condemned the increased visa charges and bureaucracy, warning that employers already suffering cost pressures cannot simply pluck skilled workers from a domestic pipeline that doesn't exist. Vivian Stern of Universities UK fears that the 6% levy on international student fees and post-study visa reductions will discourage the very talent we need and threaten the financial survival of British universities. Meanwhile, Starmer has declined to set a migration cap, a move which allows him plausible deniability on failure but offers little reassurance to voters or business leaders alike. His pledge that numbers will fall significantly is intentionally vague, akin to a weather forecast that predicts some sort of rain. Even economists have weighed in. John Springford of the Centre for European Reform argues that blaming migration for sluggish growth is flat wrong, and GDP per capita, he notes, has benefited from immigration. The real drags are Brexit and energy costs, as ever. Starmer's theory of control rests on a political illusion that the British electorate wants lower numbers regardless of consequences. But when those consequences hit care homes, university campuses, and local labour markets, it will become clear that this was not a strategic shift, but a panic-induced pivot. And yet, for all the noise, what has actually changed? No cap, no enforcement strategy, a projected reduction of 98,000, still leaving net migration around 240,000 by 2030. In other words, a long way from zero and a long way from satisfying reform's base. As one commentator has put it, this isn't a challenge to reform, this is a capitulation to it, and a poor one at that. Starmer's gambit might earn him a brief reprieve in the tabloids, but it's fractured Labour's progressive base, unsettled its technocratic allies, and offered cold comfort to an electorate weary of promises. This isn't taking back control, it's the theatre of control, with all the hollowness and the cynicism the phrase implies. It's the bully who's just learned how to throw a punch and doesn't do that very well. In trying to out Farage, Starmer may have misread the national mood entirely. The problem is not merely one of numbers, it's one of trust, transparency, and truth. And those, alas, the island has rarely felt. In those, alas, the island has rarely felt more estranged. This is bullying, this is nastiness, this is stupidity unfortunately, in excess. And it's not excessively changing anything except for the mood and the nature of the people in control. Now we can say, before we could have said maybe we suspect we have fools in power. Now we can say with categorical truth, with understanding, with belief, we not only have fools in power, we have thugs in power who are hitting whatever they can. They're hitting down because they're too afraid and too much of the bully to hit across at anything that resembles a real adversary. They're hitting the vulnerable, as ever. And they're hitting the same people that were marked out by Theresa May in the past. Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper have become the very worst aspect of Theresa May.